Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Coach C with the Power WithN University. So I made a previous video about teamwork with your kids, and so we're going to go one level deeper into teamwork at home as it pertains to your kids. And so actually I'll start at the end. And so how things are set up in my house. Again, I'm a single dad, 3 kids, 8, 10, 13. And how things are set up in my house to allow me to maximize on my work. I work from home, and I've been working from home for quite a few years. So I kind of got this down to a science. And I've been homeschooling my kids every summer, every summer for the past 7 years now. And so the whole quarantine environment is not really that much of a challenge for me. And so how it works in my house is that I only help my oldest son with his homework when he needs it, and he rarely needs help. So I would say in 1 month I probably average about an hour, maybe an hour and a half altogether, helping anyone with homework. And so how it works is this, is that my 10-year-old tutors his younger sister. Okay, she's 8. And so he's in 5th grade and she's in 2nd grade. And so, and he's a bright student, straight A student, so he has no issue with the work that she does and helping her with the work that she does. And then my 13-year-old, he tutors his younger brother, the 10-year-old. And again, straight A student, so no problem subject matter wise with helping his younger brother. And so the only person that I really wind up helping at all is the 13-year-old. He's pretty self-sufficient, and to be honest, if he brings questions to me, before I lend him a hand, I'll let him sit down for an hour trying to figure it out, because I require that they become problem solvers, and so it's only in the really extreme, and most of the time he'll apply his brain to it, he'll change his angle, change his perspective, and he'll come back with the answer. But in the extreme case that he really can't get it, I'll never just give him the answer. I'll help him to a point where I know that he can help himself, and then I'll let him finish the problem. So how that works is this, is that all of my kids understand implicitly, well, no, actually it's not implicitly, it's explicitly, the work that I do, and I've spoken with them all with intent. And so the world that we live in is vastly different than the world that most of us grew up in, especially if you're in a big or medium-sized city. The village is gone, and the culture that surrounded the village is also gone. The neighborhood, by and large, is gone. I mean, there's lots of houses and lots of people, but the interaction between people and houses is greatly reduced, and a lot of the things that people used to get from church, that people used to get from the village, that people used to get just from the society at large, our kids aren't getting. And so if you don't hunker down with them and talk to them with intent, and explicitly say the things that you want them to understand, there's not really a way for them to get these things. And so, I talk to my kids a lot, and I talk to them very explicitly. I speak to them in plain language that I want them to understand about things that I feel are important for them to understand. And so let's say, for example, this thing about helping each other. I spoke with my oldest son first, And I simply told him, I just broke it down. I'm like, okay, well, what does Daddy do all day? And he says, well, Daddy's working all day. I said, okay, well, why is Daddy working all day? He says, well, Daddy's working so that he can take care of us. I said, okay, right, so us is who? He said, us is myself, my younger brother, and my sister. And I said, okay, so I'm working all day so that I can take care of you guys, right? And so let's say that Amado and Amina, you needs help. So if I have to help all of you guys, that's going to take some time, right? I mean, out of my day, how much time do you think it would take if I had to help all of you guys with your homework and your studying? He came back with a number like 2.5 hours or 3 hours or something like that. I said, okay, so those 3 hours that I'm missing from work, when do you think I'll put those hours in? He said, well, probably after we go to bed. Okay, and then if I put 3 hours in after you go to bed, then when do I get my sleep? And so the lights kind of started going on in his head, one question after the other. And I said, so when you help me, you're helping me to help you, right? And then he got that. I said, so by the same token, when you help your brother, right, then I don't have to do that. And so by helping him, you're also helping me to help you. And so I just and I had a similar conversation with my other younger son, so that he could understand the connection between what he does for his sister and what the oldest does for his brother, and how that helps me, and how that in turn reflectively helps them. And so now it's just a machine. It's they intuitively help each other. And the flip side of that is that the biggest challenge with them helping each other was actually not the intellectual part of it, the academic part of it. It was really the personalities and all the little problems that fights over nothing and silly conflicts. So what it helped them to do was to understand and work with each other better. If I extrapolate this to let's say 15 years from now, and they're grown and they're at a job, it's teaching them people management skills. All the kids have different personalities, and some of my kids are more bossy than others, and some are less controlling than others. And so this has really been an exercise for them in teaching them how to manage people. And when I set this system up, I did it with that intent. I wanted them to learn how to manage, and then I in turn manage that process. So I hear everything that happens in the house. It's only 2 bedrooms here. I have a small house, and I keep it tight on purpose. I don't want little nooks and crannies where crimes against humanity happen, and daddy's nowhere to be found. So I hear, for example, my youngest son is with his sister in the garage, and I hear there's a little bit of passive aggressiveness going on, and a little bit of discomfort, but I let it ride. And then when I hear it gets to a point where I think it's too much, I'll call them inside. I'll have them explain the problem, and then through that process, I teach my son how to manage his sister, and I also teach my sister how to be managed by her brother, my sister, my daughter. And so it's been a real learning and team building process for all 3 kids. And on my side, as the dad who's really kind of focused on during the day, in any case, focused on work and trying to take care of the administration of the house and get my work done and organize their lives, it saves me a heck of a lot of time. Just not having to hunker down with each of them and cross the I's and dot the T's. And even at the end of the work, my oldest son is responsible for checking his younger brother's homework to make sure that he's turning it in, it's done correctly, it's done neatly. Same thing with my 10-year-old and his 8-year-old. He's responsible for checking her work and making sure that it's done. And if it's not done properly, he'll correct her, and she'll do it again and all that. And then at the end of it all, I do like the master check. And when I do the master check, the two boys are responsible for the person that they're tutoring. And so if my daughter doesn't have her work done properly, her brother is responsible because he had the final check. And so it's also teaching them accountability, responsibility, and it works. And so that's the next level of communication and teamwork with your kids. I hope that was helpful, and I look forward to talking to you again. Take care. Bye-bye.